The ancient desert city of Yazd is located within the center of the state of Iran and is one of the country's oldest cities, set like a string of pearls along the Kavir coast. Yazd is also the center for the followers of the Zarathustra faith, the pious predecessors of Islam who fled here to escape Arab persecution. In the south of the city are their burial sites, the Borj Sakut, Towers of Silence. Its strategic location at the crossroads of many important caravan routes brought the great city prosperity, along with religion and culture. Until the mid-1960s, the bodies of the dead were washed at the foot of a hill and then laid out on the open landscape. It was left to the vultures to dispose of the bodies, the bones of which were laid out in boxes. So the land was not polluted by corpses. The Zoroastrian fire temple of Artashkere has a winged sun disk that is surrounded by 3 medallions. An eternal fire burns within. It symbolizes the presence of God. A small square is situated in the middle of the old town district of Fahran, flanked by historic buildings. Such as a prison where, according to legend, Alexander the Great held captive various Achaemenid dignitaries, and which was later used as a school. And the mausoleum of the 12 Imams, a Seljuk brick-built building. Also the Fahran Hotel, a former manor house that has been cleverly transformed into an hotel. Around a canvas roof patio that contains a water basin are rooms of typical clay construction. The basement contains access to a deep well and underground kanat pipes that once supplied the city with water. The cool rooms shine out with all the luxuriant splendor of the 1001 Nights. And the roof garden and wind towers have magnificent views. The narrow streets of the historic Old Town mainly consist of mud-built buildings with partially covered corridors, domes, and numerous wind towers. The maze of narrow streets in which the several single-story buildings are still inhabited has been designated as a UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. The architecture of the city is famous and well known for its extremely dry climate. The well-preserved Abul Ma'ali bathhouse is typical of its time. Close by are the remains of the old city wall, sturdy and in places up to 15 meters high. In 1119 its construction began and continued until the 14th century. The city's largest water storage tank is dominated by 6 wind towers that capture the slightest breeze and in turn cool down the stored water. Nearby, Arke-Dolatabad. The magnificent palace residence of Muhammad Taqi Khan Bafki, who was governor of Yazd from 1747 AD. Water was directed by way of kanates, a well-like vertical shaft to feed wonderful gardens that contain shrubs, trees, flowers, and water basins set among various homes and stables. And there's a 33-meter-high wind tower, the highest in Iran. A 2-story reception palace was the center of the complex. In the center is a hall with stained glass windows, a dome, and water basins. It was a public area which was open in summer and that could be closed in winter. The elegant Friday Mosque with its tall entrance and double minaret is the main landmark of Yazd. Its tile decorations of various shades of blue are the most beautiful examples of 14th century Persian architecture. Also, the stalactite mihrab adds extra emphasis and highlights the mosque even more. The Qadi of Yazd, Syed Rokan-Adun, financed the construction of this complex. Next to the mosque is the Qadi's mausoleum, which is visited every day by many of the faithful. The Water Museum is located in the 19th century built private residence of the noble Karakhduz. The museum features exhibits that relate to water and information on the construction and maintenance of underground kanat water pipes. The large square of the main bazaar is dominated by the Taqi-e-Amir Chakma and a Naki in memory of the Hossein martyrs. This giant gantry with its double minaret is used as a religious site during the Shiite month of mourning. Yazd is not only an ancient culture, it's also an Oriental dream.